Hi everyone, my name is Saurabh, and here we are to discuss if there are any questions that we are having on live session. So this is the first time that I'm going live on the channel, and let's see if we have got any DevOps and Cloud questions. So this channel is dedicated to everything about DevOps, about its learnings, and I've often spoken about many things regarding how to do DevOps, what sort of technologies to go into. I believe I am live, and so in here, in one of my videos, I said that if you post any questions on the channel, I'll be taking it up, and I'll be answering it on one of the live streams. So I have got a list of a few questions which we can go live with. So if we have any questions, if there any questions pop up on my screen, I can help answering that. But otherwise, I'll take up some of the questions that are already existing and I've got with me. All right, so let me see what questions do we have. Yep, so the first question that I have is from NK Creations. It says, "Hi sir, I am currently working in non-IT from past 1.5 years now, and I want to shift in IT through learning DevOps. So I want to know the possible ways to change from non-IT to IT career. So if you're planning to change from a non-IT to an IT career, the first thing that you need is very clear fundamentals. So I think you should be first going in through some sort of learning where you learn some coding, some scripting, get a feel of what an IT is. So if you have completely non-IT background and you've not worked on IT at all, maybe just start getting a feel of it first and see if it really is your cup of tea. So once you think that you are pretty good with IT, you are ready to go on to that stage. At that point of time, I think you should start moving towards DevOps, learn its fundamentals, whatever sort of training that you want to do. So first do the fundamentals, then you will be going on to some sort of practical learning. Apply those fundamentals in some environments. So, for example, if you're learning Linux or Jenkins or Artifactory, GitHub Actions, apply it first through in terms of your practical understanding. So do some hands-on, and then you move on to some projects. So you need to do probably 3 to 5 projects so that you get a complete understanding of what DevOps is, what sort of applications do that apply to DevOps, and then you will have to prepare for the interviews. All right, so I don't have any question on screen here. I'll go with the next question. The next question is, how can I get into DevOps? I have almost 15 years of experience in IT infrastructure. All right, so it looks like you already have a lot of experience in IT. So this is different than having a non-IT experience completely. What we had in the last question. So you have got almost 15 years of experience in IT. How do you change into DevOps? So that means if you're not doing DevOps, if you are experienced in IT infrastructure, so what I understand is that you're talking about that you have already have experience on Linux, uh, and this question is rather incomplete. But you say that 15 years experience in IT infrastructure, I would understand that you've got experience in Linux. You've been working as a Linux administrator probably. Uh, so what you can do is with your kind of profile, you're more likely to succeed if you're going in towards an IT infrastructure, uh, probably something like an SRE engineer. So who will be managing all these different sort of infrastructures, looking at the different services. So let's say if you're using AWS Cloud, how are you using the AWS Cloud services? You would need to have a good hold on Terraform, uh, AWS Cloud Formations, and all these scripting languages so that you can do the infrastructure automation. Okay. Now, I have got a third question here. So many are saying nowadays that there are less openings for 1 to 2 years experience candidates. So how should I go? I'm a BCA graduate working in Infosys. All right, so you're a BCA graduate, so it looks like you have got around 1 to 2 years of experience. So if you are already experienced in DevOps, so you should be upgrading your skills, going in towards all these different sort of automations. So if you are not really into automation at the moment, so I would strongly suggest that you move towards that. Automation can be in terms of your CI/CD. Automation can be in terms of your infrastructure as code, or it can be in terms of alerting and monitoring. So you can go into any of these careers. All right. So the next question that I have is, sir, can you please specify what kind of basic knowledge is required so that I get to decide whether I'm capable of this project or not? I'm a university student with basic theoretical knowledge of cloud computing and hands-on. All right, so the projects that we do, these are pretty enterprise grade projects. You would need some sort of basic understanding, at least a basic understanding of cloud, because whatever we teach in these projects, these are pretty advanced stuff. So let's say if you do not have much understanding about what AWS is, any you don't know anything about Terraform and all. In that case, you might find it pretty hard to actually go on through the project. So the first thing that you need to do is get your fundamentals right, get your basics right. Um, you can do that sort of basic from anywhere. So I think any any Udemy course will do, or there are lots of YouTube videos which teach lot basic fundamentals. So just going through them, and then once you're through your basics, then you'll be able to do the enterprise grade projects that we teach. So the next question that I had was, I'm looking for DevOps training. Could you please help? Yeah. So just go through any of our videos, and there would be training links in that. So we do a lot of different trainings. So we do run boot camps, we do run projects. Our flagship program is the mentorship program, where we teach the students everything right from scratch. So whether they're non-IT or they've been working in any other fields, so we go into that sort of development plan where we teach everything from scratch, everything about the cloud technologies, everything about DevOps, everything about automation, and then we also let them do the projects. There are a lot many things that we do. So in terms of interview preparations, we go through lots of different advanced stuff. There are presentations which the students have to do, so that they're very familiar with in the way that they talk about their projects. So yep. So we've got a couple of programs. Just look in the description of it, the other videos. All right. Another question that we have is from Alam. So it says, how to learn cloud from beginning. So learning cloud from beginnings, I think you'll get lots of YouTube material from that. But the best way to learn cloud is whenever you're watching up a YouTube video, you just open up your AWS, Azure, or GCP account. These are free to create, and try to practice whatever is being taught in the tutorial. So once you start getting hands-on, you'll get some feel of the what cloud is, and that's a good way to start. Because unless and until you're doing hands-on stuff, you will probably be facing a lot of difficulties when you're doing things on your own. So watch the tutorials, do hands-on. That's the way to learn cloud, and I think that's what I did a lot many years back as well. So I had a look at the tutorials. I created my own AWS account, and then I started practicing. All right. So the next question that I have is from Vishal. Do tech skills override the communication skills to impress the recruiter? Well, tech skills and communication skills, they are very important. So none of them actually override. So if you got technical skills but you cannot communicate through, that becomes a problem. But if you have communication skills but you cannot explain the technology, that is also a problem. So you need both the skills. They complement each other, and none of them can be underrated. So both technical skills and communication skills are very important. The way that you do practice your technical skills is through projects. Regards to communication skills, first is you should be able to include technical jargons in whenever you're doing an interview, and practice it. So practice your com skills. Okay. The next question that I have is from Shivam. Sir, I'm a final year student. Suggest some good DevOps projects that can make me stand out from other interviews. Really looking forward for reply. Yeah, so if you are just a student, I would suggest there are lots of projects that you can do for free. So you start up with well, in our Telegram channel, we also have a few projects. Uh, if you go to the LinkedIn channel of ours, so there are lots of free projects that we have posted in there, so you can start practicing it. So they're all on CI/CD, developing, creating pipelines, working on Kubernetes. So yeah, there are a couple of projects. Just visit our LinkedIn and the Telegram channel. And if you don't know where it is, so just look in the description of any of the videos. Okay. Got one more question here. How is the current market for DevOps engineer from Shekhar? So, if I want to study DevOps, is it the right time to do it? Are there any jobs for freshers in DevOps? Okay, so the DevOps engineer market is it's hot, and it's likely that it will remain this way because it's all about automation. All the organizations have either moved towards it already, uh, and if not, they're on it. So if you want to study DevOps, is the right time? Absolutely. So if you're a fresher or if you have a few years of experience, you're not into DevOps, it's a good way to. It's a good time to actually move on to it. So DevOps market is going to remain hot, and it's likely to be this way probably for next so many years. Is there any jobs for freshers in DevOps? Now this one is a bit tricky because if you see in DevOps, the organizations they do not like just freshers. So all the organizations they want a few years of experience in terms of DevOps. But saying that, you will find a couple of people in our YouTube channel itself. So they are freshers and they have landed jobs in DevOps as well. The key thing is to if you're a fresher, just don't keep your learning as a fresher. So if you're a fresher, you can always do that sort of learning, which can put you at par with an experience for one to two people. That also brings in that if you are ready for taking more challenges, then the organizations see you in a pretty good way that you're keen to learn. So if you're a fresher, don't stay a fresher. So you might be a fresher in terms of job experience, but don't stay a fresher in terms of what your knowledge levels are. You can always learn. There are lots of free material on YouTube. The best thing about cloud is that it is free. Uh, well, if you keep yourself under if I'm live, so if you keep yourself under the yeah, so if you keep yourself busy with all these different projects, then that's the way. Okay. The next question that I have is please make a video on the present DevOps job scenario and market trends, and when is the hiring going to pick up pace? So yeah, I have already made a video on the what the DevOps job scenario and the market trends are. Uh, Maybe you can start looking at it in the channel itself. But I'll keep making these because DevOps job scenario is it's pretty good actually. So if you just keep looking at how many people are getting jobs in DevOps, it's better than any other IT scenario. Hiring is going to pick up pace. I think the hiring will generally, if you see between November to January, the hiring goes low, but from February onwards, towards that year, the hiring just keeps on going. So I think the hiring will start picking up pace from February onwards. All right. Is there anything? Do you have any questions? I've got a few comments here. All right. So I've got a question here from Aniket. So I'm working on networking mainly in operations. Is there any chance to switch to cloud? Yeah, Aniket, if you are working on networking, mainly in operations, yes. So if you are pretty comfortable with networking, it's a very good chance to go into towards infrastructure. So you can start working on towards the SRE engineering part, and that would help you out. So because if you already have networking knowledge, that means you already are aware of all these different web protocols. You're already aware of how the infrastructure and the networks work. So it's so you'll find that all the concepts in cloud, they're very similar to the type of networking that we have done. So you'll find a good role in the SRE if you switch on towards the cloud. Right. Now I've got a question from Srinivas. So are certifications so important to get selected for interview? Yes, Srinivas, the certifications are very important. So if you are either a fresher or you haven't told me as to what sort of background you have, but at any levels, so the certifications are very important. The certifications become less and less important if your experience is replacing those knowledge. So for example, let's say if you've been working 5 years in Kubernetes and it's showing up in your CV a lot, then probably it's lesser of an importance. But if you are working, if you're starting up your career, the certifications make or break your CV, because the recruiters have no idea as to what sort of knowledge that you have, and certifications, they get you towards an interview. They may not get you selected in an interview, but they will help you in getting the interview calls. Right. All right. So the next question is, I'm 27, worked at operations side, server operations, and AWS basic infrastructure for about 3 years, and I want to change to DevOps. Is that still possible? Yes. So if you have worked on the operation side, so this is very similar to Aniket, who has worked on networking and operations. I think we have answered this, but I'll repeat it that if you have worked on the operation side, basic infrastructure and server operations, you can start building up your core career in the infrastructure as code in the towards the SRE engineering. SRE engineering is all about managing these different types of infrastructures, managing the production, managing the different applications which are running in production. So, if you have worked on the operation side, you get a very good you got a very good understanding towards the production operations, and SRE engineering is the way to go. And definitely, so DevOps is something that can be learned. So it's not that you can only do it once you are in the technology. So you can go through a lots of different courses. You can go through all the different practical knowledge. The beauty about cloud is that, as I said, that it's free to start with, and even within the free tier itself, you will get lots of services to play around. So I think SRE is your choice here. Okay, so I've got another question here from Surya. What is the percentage of on-site offers in DevOps? That's a very broad question, Surya. So when you say percentage of on-site offers, so on-site is there's still people who are going in through many many technologies. DevOps is one of them. It's not that you get an on-site opportunity, let's say US, Europe, Australia, anywhere. It's not just because of DevOps. So if your company has that sort of clientele, you can go in through DevOps. But that's applicable across the technology. So that's applicable across data science. That's applicable across let's say business intelligence. So there's no hard and fast percentage on there that you will get on site. But DevOps is pretty hot in the market. It's likely to be. It's in the benefit of an organization to get matured in DevOps, and that's why they're looking. This field is likely to remain in there for a long time. Okay, I've got another question. Is DevOps engineer also does support ticket? So you mean a support role, right? Well, DevOps is not really a support role. So there are SRE engineers who do all these types of operations. There are SRE engineers who maintain the production. But if you just talk, they're not really support guys. So they manage and handle a lot of different infrastructure. They manage a lot of applications which run on those infrastructures. Some of them, well, there are application support guys. So there are there's support required from the application point of view if an application goes down, but not specifically on a DevOps engineer. DevOps engineer are basically responsible for CI/CD pipelines, deploying the applications in different environments. So that's what it is, but it's not really a support role. Okay. So the next question. The next question is from Shrikant. So, what is the important tools required for company to become a DevOps engineer? Well, if you there are lot many tools in DevOps, Shrikant. If you look at one of my videos, I think it is called DevOps Tools Roadmap. That should be in the same this channel itself. There are probably around 60 to 80 tools which all the different companies use. So they're into different sort of technologies. They can be into the source code, they can be in CI, in CD, alerting and monitoring. You've got many tools which are in DevSecOps. There are deployment tools. Uh, Also, in terms of your infrastructure as code, you would require Terraform. So there are lot many tools. There are multiple segments in it. Do watch that video where I've spoken about the tools. And all these tools are actually important. So they're meant for a specific purpose. But if you just want to start your career to become a DevOps engineer, couple of things that you can keep in mind. The first one being Git. Git is the version control tool. So if you are doing any sort of version control, you should be knowing Git. Whatever are the different sort of branching strategies. Then you can, in terms of CI, you've got Jenkins, you've got GitHub Actions. If you know any one of these tools, that should be fine. Uh, for deployments, storing binaries, Artifactory or Nexus. Also, then AWS Basics is very important. So even though it's not really a tool, but you should be very well across the different AWS networking fundamentals, some security fundamentals. After that, I think Docker Kubernetes are extremely important, and so is Terraform and the CloudFormation. So these are the basic tools that you definitely need. But on top of it, there are lots of additional tools like in alerting monitoring. So you've got tools like Dynatrace for monitoring. You've got log management, Splunk, and you've got DevSecOps. You've got SonarQube. These are all additional tools that you would need to enhance your skill. All right. So next question is from Mehboob, and how much maximum years can we put after a course on DevOps of yours? Yeah, we do have. Our flagship program is the mentorship program. So where we cover different types of boot camps, we cover lot many projects. So we've got we have 3 4 projects at the moment to start with, and we also we tell these stuff in where we refine your CV. How do we embed these projects into your CV? See, it's not a clear answer, Mehboob. So, how much maximum years can we put after the course? It all depends on how much knowledge that you have. So, it's not like a blanket you put in 2 years or 5 years or 6 months. So whatever you have gained out of these projects, your CV should be able to justify that. It should not be like you just put in 2 years and you do not have knowledge to back it up, and you do not just say that I will just put in 2 years and see what happens. So your knowledge should back it up. The the projects that we train the students on. So if you have completed, let's say, the three projects that we have, it can stretch yourself to around 2 to 3 years of experience, which a normal DevOps engineer occupies in their career. So if three projects it would take you around, let's say, 4, 5, 6 months to complete. But these are very accelerated learnings. There are also some sort of background understanding that you should have in terms of DevOps. So it's not really a clear answer as to how many max years can you put, but the 6 months that we train people on the different projects, they accelerate you to 3 to 4 years easily in terms of knowledge, what the other DevOps engineer have. Right? So, all right. So I've got one more question here from Sanaka. I'm working as a middleware administrator, working in shifts with WebLogic and Tomcat in an MNC from 1 year. Could you please suggest how to plan my career from now on? So you worked on WebLogic, you worked on Tomcat. See, these are all web servers. So if you have been working just on these web servers, you need to tell me a little bit more, Sanika, in order to understand what all different technologies have you worked on. And but if you are working just as a middleware administrator here, I can see that you can shift your career towards DevOps. In, you need to learn all the different technologies that I mentioned above. Uh, Probably do some projects. So wherever you do it from, there are some free projects which are available if you search on the internet. Do hands-on. So as much as you are able to do hands-on, you will start getting confidence. And yeah, I think CI/CD is the way that you can go in, because you have already been working on WebLogic. You understand how the traffic works from an internet towards a gateway and then into all the different systems. Yeah, so try to go through all the different technologies in DevOps. All right, I've got another question again from Shrikant. Why company required experienced candidates in DevOps instead of 1 to 2 years experienced candidate? I don't think that is true, Shrikant. So for people who have got 1 to 2 years of experience, they stand a lot more chance than what your statement says. So I've personally been hiring in my company. So I work as a cloud architect, and 1 to 2 years of experience is a very good experience to have. But it depends on what have you learned in your 1 to 2 years of experience. So 1 to 2 year experience is not really a short time frame. If a candidate is really willing to learn, so they can learn everything about DevOps in 1 to 2 years and also accelerate themselves in their career. So when you say that why company requires experienced candidates, 1 to 2 years is a pretty good experience to accelerate your learning. If you have this sort of experience, but you're struggling to find a decent job, I would say that you should look into as to why where your knowledge gaps are. But 1 to 2 years is a pretty good experience to start with. All right, so I had this question first. Does age matter to start in DevOps? No, age does not matter. So I've got in the mentorship program that we have, there are so many students of different age and different experience. So we have got many freshers. We have got people who have got 1 to 5 years experience. We have got people who have got 5 to 8, 10 plus, and they're from all across the globe. So there are people from US, from Canada, from UK, Germany. We got from India, Malaysia, Australia, New Zealand. So we got students from all over the place and all over the age. So we've got students who are 25 plus years experience plus also the freshers. So age doesn't matter. All you need is the right mindset and what you are learning in DevOps. All right. So question from Money: how much of a Python and Bash scripting should I know? Will it be a dedicated round to clear? I've worked for 10 plus years in networking alone. Depends on what you want to do. So if you have worked on networking alone, probably the right career path for you is not towards CI/CD and DevOps. It's more towards infrastructure and security. So if you have spent 10 years in networking alone, you can become a very good security architect, a senior security engineer, because you have the concepts of networking. So I believe that you must have worked on Linux, and I'm talking about Linux networking here. So that will propel you to working on in AWS, working on the infrastructure side of it. You should be able to know scripting in and out. Not so much of a Python, but scripting both in terms of your Bash scripting, in terms of your Terraform, AWS Cloud Formation. So scripting will become your primary. Knowledge of Python or Java, that will become your secondary. But try to find a career in security so that you can be a very successful security architect if you have worked a lot on networking. All right. So the next question is from Tanmay. What is the current market status for DevOps? I see only experienced people are getting opportunities. I'm sorry to say, Tanmay, that is not correct. So there are many. So if you watch our channel itself, I've come across two or three freshers and who have bagged multiple offers. So two of them have got multiple offers. I think one was Rahil, and there's one more candidate. So if you look at those interviews, the CV were pretty simple, but they had a good amount of knowledge. So it all depends on what your knowledge is. If you look from an organization point of view, hiring the right people for a company is a bigger challenge than for an employee for somebody to find a job. So the companies are ready to hire people. It's all a question of whether do you have the right skills or not. So many a times I see that people, they just want jobs, they do not want to learn. But trust me, if you have your skills right onto the top, you will get selected. If not this company, there are four other companies which are lined up who are ready to hire you. It doesn't matter if you're a fresher or if you're experienced. Many talented freshers are getting jobs, and they're getting handsome packages too. So it's not that freshers are not getting jobs. It's just that the amount of learning that you have done so far, that all matters. So keep learning. Don't turn off your don't turn off your brain in terms of learning and just keep applying jobs. So keep learning, and jobs will automatically, they're already there. All right. So question from Mahbub: are all the projects done recorded for our reference? Yes, they are. So all the projects, all the boot camps, in fact, every session that we do in the mentorship, they're all recorded. Uh, we cover a lot of things in mentorship just apart from the projects and the basic learning. So there are a lot many advanced stuff which you even just talk about the interviews in the interview. They will probably look you at a very high in high regards. So, for example, if you are talking a lot about the AWS well architected frameworks, if you are talking on the DevSecOps, the kind of sessions that we do with all the candidates, they are really, really very high quality. So it's all based on the different sort of learnings that I have had, Sanjeev have had in the past, and so both me and Sanjeev have got around what 22, 23 years of experience, out of which around 10, 12 are in DevOps itself. So we are pretty experienced in a lot of large organizations, and we are pouring all our knowledge into those mentorship sessions. So Try to learn some advanced stuff as well. And yes, all the projects are recorded. All right. So the next question is again from Surya. Thank you. In my project, I'm working on Git, Jenkins, multi-branch, Nexus, SonarQube, AWS, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, Shell script. How interviews treat me, SRE or in DevOps engineer? I see. It all depends on what sort of knowledge that you have. So if you see any CV, and nowadays I've been looking at hundreds and thousands of CVs. Actually, I've come across them. Everybody mentions all these tools. So you're not just the one uh, who, who just mention it. If you see any random CV on DevOps, they will write all these different tools. But when you start taking your interview, in the first 5 minutes itself, you can decide on whether that candidate has depth or not. So two things. One is you're not getting interview calls that we can talk about. The second is you have got an interview, but you're not doing up to the mark. So if you're not getting any calls, you should be working on your resume. You should be working on some of the certifications to highlight your knowledge. So there are probably certifications in each one of those categories that you see. So you have certifications in AWS. You can do your DevOps engineer certifications. You can do certifications in Kubernetes, in Terraform, individual certifications. So once you have done the certifications, your interviewer is likely to understand that you've got certain level of knowledge base. But if so, that's about getting up to an interview. But in an interview, you should be able to demonstrate your knowledge in terms of your understanding what sort of projects that you have done, uh, and well, that's how your interview will treat you. If you have a very good knowledge base, uh, probably I've seen many organizations which go beyond uh, they go beyond their means to fetch a candidate. So if a candidate is really very highly skilled, the organization will go beyond their means to get that candidate on board. So not only it's not that candidates are not getting jobs. There are not enough jobs. Trust me, there are lots of jobs, but you have to get a notch above everybody. You just cannot just be a mediocre. All right. So next question from Kishore: do we have any openings for DevOps engineers with experience 2 years now? Well, when you say do we have any openings, so I'm not really sure as to where. But if you're just talking about a market, absolutely. So 2 3 years of experience. It's all the DevOps engineer openings there. They are right from freshers to up to 9 10 years of experience. So they're all valid. After 10 years, probably they are more looking towards like a senior DevOps engineer, architect positions, that sort of. All right, next one is you're an amazing mentor. Thank you. Next question from Harish. I am from ISO 27K and Java architect. Shall I go with cloud and DevOps? I have more than 15 years of experience across 4 countries. Yeah, so if you have been an architect, you are more likely to go towards cloud architecture. So you can enhance your Java-based knowledge, go in towards CI/CD. You, your experience with cloud and DevOps will have to be a little bit in depth because having more than 15 years of experience, you cannot just talk basics. So your sort of background should be liaising on with a lot many things with networking, with security, with infrastructure. You should be able to do all these different sort of logical designs, infrastructure designs. uh, you should be able to identify the risks and issues in the project. You should have a solid understanding of how to do the data analytics, the different types of monitoring techniques for an application. So if you want to switch on to the cloud role, I think you need to do more learnings than just a DevOps engineer. but you don't have to do like coding or scripting, because your work as an architect will be more towards the designing part. So yes, you can go with that. All right, so that's the end of questions that I can see on my screen. And all right, guys, so that's the end of it. So I plan to be online pretty frequently now. So if you have any questions, I think you should just comment it on any of the videos, and I'll start picking up those questions first. So if you put in a comment of question in any of my videos, I'll just sort it out as I did this in this video as well. So I started up with the comments which are already in the on the videos, and then we'll take some live comments. All right, have a nice Saturday, guys, and whichever country you are, and I'll see you in the next time. Cheers.